G'day, and before we get into this, let's get some of my history out of the way. I was bullied through my school years until my second year of high school, and the change that stopped it was removing myself from the situation by hanging out in the music room and computer lab, playing Abuse, Duke Nukem 3D, and Doom on Serial LAN. I even remember one incident that also became the first and last time I called on my parents to try and resolve the issue. And it wasn't because they were bad parents or anything, it was just that back then, we're talking the 90s, where things were a little bit different. Bullying was seen as character building and not a serious problem that we have today. Anyway, I was sitting in class next to a boy that had only come to the class maybe 3 weeks before, where I had been in the class all year at that point. I wanted to ask the teacher a question about something on the work we were doing at the time, and she said she would be with me in a moment. I said, sure, that is fine, I can wait. The boy next to me proceeded to drum up a lie that I had said, "Fuck you, fat bitch." Something I would never say to her or any teacher for that matter, as I had been brought up better than that. She reprimanded me. I vehemently denied that I had said any such thing, and yet she continued to believe this new kid that had been switched from another room for being a nuisance, from my understanding. I went home, told my parents what had happened, and somehow I ended up spending the next 2 or 3 weeks on my own, missing out on subjects I was really looking forward to due to our upcoming camp at the time. So, with what I'm about to say, if you make the claim I don't understand what some are going through, think again. I'm probably somebody that does very well understand what's going on. Now, what is it that I'm actually here to say that is so earth-shattering that when I came up with the idea that I was almost having anxiety attacks about whether I should do the video or not? Basically, I'm of the opinion cyberbullying isn't a thing. It is just bullying. It's just an extension of normal bullying. It's just done in a different method. And here is why I think that cyberbullying isn't a thing. For bullying to take place, you need intimidation. To have that, the bully needs power. When it comes to social media, you have that power. You have the power to shut them down, to ignore them. Facebook, Twitter, etc. They give you the tools and means to manage your profiles, who your friends are, and who can see what on your profile. And most importantly, be able to block these people. This is common sense social media hygiene. You need to lock your profile down and only accept friend requests from people you actually know. Don't even open messages from people you don't know. Bullying from online is completely avoidable, and if you do open a message that says something like "kill yourself" and it does bother you enough that you don't delete it straight away, tell someone, tell your parents, tell your friends. They will be understanding and will be able to help you. But let's move on to education, something parents, teachers, and kids need in this day and age to keep themselves safe online. I was lucky that I was brought up, even considering the 90s, I was brought up with good digital hygiene standards in place. But let's get right at the first thing here. You set up your privacy settings so only those in your friend list can see what you post. A similar function is in Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. They all have privacy settings allowing only those you wish to see your posts, snaps, tweets, photos can see them. Though there is a caveat, which brings us to the next thing. Everything you post, regardless of what your private settings are, always assume that the world can see it. And if it isn't something you would put in a public forum or stand in the middle of a crowded street, shout or show off, probably best to not post it. To the trolls, or those that get a little heated under the collar sometimes, if what you're about to say or put in a post isn't something you would say to that person to their face, probably shouldn't post it. You know, just don't be a dick. Next, only accept friend requests from people you know. I know this seems like something pretty bloody obvious, but I know plenty of people that do not actually follow this. You know, because it's just one of those things. And actually, if it is a bully in real life, best thing to do is don't accept a friend request. If it's somebody that you know from school and they approach you over it, just say that you don't want to have them as a friend. as they're mean to you, etc. or whatever. If they push, see someone that can help take care of the problem with you. Don't open messages from people you do not know or sus ones from people you do. They have probably been hacked and the link is to gain access to your account as well. Also make sure you never ever access social media sites on devices that anyone can use. You are leaving yourself open to attack. I know you might be wondering why I've done this video. Well, first and foremost, I am sick and tired of seeing news stories like this.
She was known to millions of Australians as the quintessential country girl. Dolly Everett was the face of the iconic Akubra hat, an image that won our hearts, but also the attention of those who use social media as a weapon to attack, bully, and in young Dolly's life, break.
Dolly seemed in high spirits, her loved ones unaware of the virtual plague that would take her.
Oh, Dolly was beautiful, just such a free-spirited young girl. You either liked her or you loved her. There was nothing in between. She was gorgeous.
Amy Everett, nicknamed Dolly, was the face of Akubra hats, prompting bullies on Facebook to target her. Last week, at just 14, Dolly took her own life. Her distraught father on Facebook telling the bullies, "Please come to our service and witness the complete devastation you have created."
It's a very, very underreported problem. We need young people to report it to a trusted adult.
The teen's tragic death has rocked the community of Katherine in the Northern Territory. Akubra Hats urged young people to check on their friends, posting to think that anyone could feel so overwhelmed and that this was their only option is unfathomable. Every year, 3,000 people take their lives in Australia, many in rural communities. Online bullying is increasingly a factor, yet Facebook and Instagram are both resisting tougher new laws criminalising cyberbullying, making social media more accountable for antisocial, even lethal activity.
Kids killing themselves over something that is completely avoidable, preventable, and able to be stopped in its tracks before it gets too far. And I plead with all the kids that are going through this, don't be scared. Talk to your parents. Block and ignore and report these shit stains. Do not respond to them. Don't give them that satisfaction. Hell, if they tell you to kill yourself, report it to the police. It's a crime here in Australia. For the rest of you in the world, please check with your own local laws for something similar. But basically, there is a penalty involved. If you encourage suicide and that suicide actually happens, that's life in prison. Maximum term 15 years, life in prison. So, you know, probably blessed not to actually encourage people to kill themselves or eat tide pools or some other stupid crap that's going on. But secondly, here in Australia, they're saying they want to criminalise cyberbullying, which, as I pointed out just before, it already is in Australia. To use the internet to harass, menace, stalk, encourage suicide, threaten, etc., it's all there. There's laws in place. So I'm educating people that there are even laws in place you can fall back on to stop these people. And I want to leave you with this final thing. The suffering can be stopped. It takes strength and courage to speak up. I know it is hard. Nothing worth doing ever is easy. But when you do talk to someone, the suffering can and will end. Kids, speak to your parents. Never be ashamed for asking for their help. They're your parents and love you. Speak to a school counsellor or your favourite teacher. They're there to help as well. It's, you know, you can't... I want you kids to understand something. As much as you think you're invincible, and I'm guilty of it as well, I thought I could handle anything that life threw at me without anybody's help. But that's not the case. Some days we can handle things on our own. Other days we need people to help us. We need to go and seek that help. Until next time. E nō hora.